Please be advised that everything in my video is purely for entertainment purposes. These are purely my thoughts and opinions and are subjective. I must advise you to please do your own research. All media users found on the public domain and are fair use and fair dealings. Hey guys, as you know, this video is being released a lot later than what I would like it to. Most of you know that I just caught a bit of a bug, so I was feeling a bit run down. I got a bit of a nasty eye infection. I think it was from having those false eyelashes done, because I had a hell of a nightmare having them removed, and I had to go back to them in the end, because they say, oh, you just put oil on them and it sort of kind of melts the glue, and yeah, let's just say it didn't. So I must have gone through half a bottle of baby oil, half a litre of olive oil, soaked my eyes for about 2 days, and it was just my eyelashes coming out. So I did go back, and I think that's obviously what's aggravated my eyes. But anyway, so the Commonwealth. Well, there was lots to be said about the Commonwealth Service. I'll try and stagger it through. Obviously, we had the arrivals. I got really peeved at this. I watched it on my TV, as some of you know, on Twitter, that I was kind of like screening it and showing bits of it. And the BBC really made me lose my rag. They were so busy filming Meghan and Harry's arrival, and then Meghan and Harry went into the church and started kind of saying hello to everyone, because you weren't allowed, strict rules, no shaking hands, anything, because of the coronavirus threat. And so we had really long coverage of them going into the church, Meghan posing every single step of the way, making sure she was caught on cameras. I mean, every other royal that entered in there gave a quick wave, looked at the dancers. I do believe that the Queen had asked for the bagpipes to be played and the crowd's been put a little bit further away. I do believe there was a lot of booing. I believe this because of Harry's face when he got out of the car, and Meghan had to tell him to smile. So we watched them going into the church. Meghan's outfit was very striking. I did like the bright colour. Again, it was almost like she deliberately wore something so she would pretty much stand out from the crowd. It's funny, isn't it, all the sort of like the last 20 months, all the many days that she worked as a Duchess, she's chosen to wear really striking outfits, really bright colours. If she'd have dressed like this a bit more in the earlier days, then she probably wouldn't have had as much criticism on her fashion choices. However, she's been called anything from the Cape Crusader to the Green Goblin. Various other memes have turned up on social media, obviously, because, as we know, Meghan's pitching for Hollywood for a superhero role, well, as it was reported anyway. So the reason why I got peed off with the BBC was they were so busy filming Meghan and Harry into the church, Meghan and Harry basically say hello to people as they went in the church, Meghan and Harry walking down the aisle to their seats, that they literally missed the entrance and the arrival of Catherine and William. We literally caught the tail end of them pretty much walking up the steps. Thank the Lord there were actual photographers there that obviously released the images to the media, but this really annoyed me. And then they went back to Harry and Meghan walking to their seats. It was like the Harry and Meghan show initially, to the point they knew enough Miss Charles and Camilla coming in. So I was raging at this point. I thought Sophie's outfit, she looked really lovely. Catherine always looks amazing. As I said, Meghan definitely clashed with absolutely everyone. The Queen, I love the Queen. She's like everyone's nan, isn't she? She just looked lovely. The colour really suits her, and I love the orange bits in her hat. This is sadly the first time that I've ever seen the Queen say, I think she's lost a bit of weight. She looked to me a tiny bit frail. I think she's been under a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. Not been helped by the reports that Harry and Meghan apparently threw a massive wobbler because they weren't going to be part of the Queen's procession. Catherine and William were, and to the point that they were actually printed on the order of service. If you look down the bottom, you can see it here. But apparently Harry and Meghan, upon learning that they weren't going to be part of the Queen's procession, supposedly threw a bit of a temper tantrum, and Catherine and William pacified the situation by not being part of the Queen's procession either, and went and took basically their seats. Now, you can read into this one of two ways. One is they did it to pacify the temper tantrums of the Sussexes, which is totally believable at this point. Or secondly, what they did was actually a very clever manoeuvre. Harry and Meghan decided that they didn't want to be part of the procession, because then it would look like that they're being pushed out by the royal family, and it would help, you know, go for this kind of victim narrative. So Catherine and William, being as savvy as they are, decided to hit them off at the pass and went, all right then, fine, we'll go sit down as well. And then they can't say that. That might explain why Harry had a face like a slapped bottom all the way through the service. That boy has been sucking lemons basically since he's walked into that church, since he got out of the car. It's quite a difference from previous years of Harry, from 2015, 16, 17, 2018, the face begins to drop. He begins to look angry. 19, miserable. 2020, well, he looked like a serial killer at several points. He looked so angry, it was like he was going to kick off at any minute. So there were a couple of what I'd say comical moments, I believe, when Charles and Camilla came forward. Meghan did the biggest Cheshire grin at Charles. She did such a deep curtsy, it almost looked like she lost her balance for a second. And she gave a brief nod to Camilla, very, very brief. Camilla turned round and she held her stare, if you look at this video clip, a little bit longer. And Meghan wasn't looking at her and was looking away from her. Now, I wonder if Camilla was just glaring at her at this point, or if she was saying to her, thanks for ruining Friday for me. Because it was reported, I reported in a previous video, that Meghan had insisted, despite courtiers and palace officials saying, please do not try and outshine the Duchess of Cornwall's charity talk on Friday, which was a very, very, very monumental event. It's all to do with domestic violence. Camilla had been planning the speech for a year, but it was reported that Meghan insisted that her pictures by Chris Allerton, her personal photographer, were released of her being at the National Theatre. Considering Meghan is a fighter for women's rights and fairness and treatment of women all around the world, supposedly, she didn't seem to care too much about this basically overshadowing such an important discussion, charity and cause, just so Meghan could have more pictures of herself in the newspaper. Says a lot about Meghan, doesn't it, at this point? But as you can imagine, Camilla's nose was out of joint and the entire royal family looked strained. It looked like Prince Edward was the one that tried to pacify everything. There were several photos of him making laughs and sort of little jokes. I guess he was just trying to keep the peace. Sophie did not really communicate from what I saw with Meghan at all, nor did Catherine. William gave a curt hello as he came in. At least William did do that. I just saw an entire family that was just so sick of faking it. The only person faking it or wanting to, willing to, was the actress, really. They all, I can imagine, have just had enough of the drama, the spitefulness, the arguments, the family being destroyed from within by Harry's love choice. There was a really funny moment here that Meghan, her love of cameras just overtook any sort of sense and sensibility, and she got caught out by Sophie. Watch this link, I found it hilarious. Look at Meghan, she's grinning up, she must be grinning directly up, big Cheshire grin at the cameras. Sophie turns around, quick, look away, look away. She looks so guilty, she's completely been caught out. It's really embarrassing. The service was great. There was a great performance by a group called One Band. They are an African drumming band and I thought they were brilliant. I'll show you a little clip here. I thought it really added to the nice Commonwealth sort of vibe. Then we had performances from Alexandra Burke. She's not my personal favourite, but I think she's worked extremely hard considering she came off one of those reality TV shows and she's doing so well many years later. She's really put the work in, so good for her. We had Craig David. Oh, Craig David. I love the song that Craig David sang. I've never heard it before. I can't play it for you, unfortunately, because you get done for that on YouTube. And I'm already in trouble. They've put my last video on the naughty step because I dare say a certain prince's name. The song was called Unbelievable and it was absolutely beautiful. I played it and listened to it on Spotify after the Commonwealth, and I think I can imagine it's going to be many a first dance at many a wedding. As I said, I hadn't heard it before. I thought it was lovely. Harry had a very scary face throughout the entire service. He looked angry. He looked full of rage. He was really, really unhappy. There were several close-up shots where Meghan was smirking like she'd said something to him and he was glaring at her. I don't know whether she was winding him up, but obviously as the exit pictures showed, which I'll come to shortly, Harry looked like he was going to go outside and just start a punch-up. But another video clip which I've got to include because I found it really, really funny, as did other people on social media. So when they get up to leave and the Queen's leaving, obviously it goes in order, you know, then Charles and Camilla, then it went Catherine and William. Now, where they were seated, you would think that it would then be Edward and Sophie would then come out. I guess it's done in order of procession to the throne, I guess. So obviously Sophie and Edward would be behind. But I don't think it really would have mattered, to be honest with you, unless you were Harry and Meghan. Look at her scramble to get through this chair. She doesn't even wait to come out. I'm sure Sophie and Edward would have waited, but she literally just squeezes herself through, quick steps, almost walks in front of Harry and makes him speed up so she can get straight in behind William and Catherine. I mean, it's pretty, again, it's just another one. For a couple that have quit, that have done nothing but slag off the monarchy, my God, all they have done and said that it's toxic, it's suffocating, Meghan was bullied, Meghan was pushed out. They really have wanted to show off that they are still members of the royal family right up until the very last moment. Could you imagine what would have happened though if she hadn't been able to squeeze between those chairs, if she'd have got stuck or her cape had got stuck? There was a concert Madonna did and one of the dancers trod on her cape and it threw her backwards. I would have loved that for a little bit of cosmic karma. That would have been absolutely hilarious. So everyone then starts leaving the church, obviously after Meghan's had her quick scramble through the chairs to make sure that she's in there. She kicks herself out as well. They're all walking in line, but if you see Meghan veers out quite to the right in this photograph to make sure that she has a full picture, you know, she's not basically caught behind Catherine's hat. She had a manic grin throughout the entire service, and given that everyone around her looked solemn at times, everyone was a little bit stressed, a little bit tense. Meghan literally had, as I said before, that serial killer grin. Megawatt Hollywood smile, and it looked extremely out of place, especially next to her husband. Harry, I have never seen Harry look so angry. I don't know who was getting the death stares. I don't know what his problem was, but it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. Even if you were really peed off about something, you show face. You know that your face is on the world's cameras. You know that your photograph is going to be splashed across every newspaper, every magazine, YouTube videos. And he didn't reel it in for a second. He wanted the world to know, or he was just such in a foul mood. He did not care. And it just, they were in complete contrast of each other. Even leaving the church, there's Meghan grinning, making sure she's got her shot on the steps, and Harry just looked absolute misery. I have got no idea what's going on with this couple. We have seen some very mixed photographs of the interactions between these two. They go from the extremely in love to looking like they're wanting to strangle each other. All I can say is I don't think it's all well in the land of the Sussexes. Whether this is all Harry's regrets, I don't know. But obviously is from my previous video that I did yesterday that I'm on the naughty stat for. Thanks, YouTube. The hoax, cool. Say what you will about it, but Harry has obviously got a lot of rage in him. Whether I do believe it is him, absolutely, but I believe that the questions were too set up. I believe Harry's answers were too scripted. I believe that it was a kind of deal that's been set up, but Harry cannot help but express his anger. And now we've had so much stuff in the last couple of days about, you know, little snidey stories coming out from Meghan's camp about how Meghan was hung out to dry, how unnecessarily cruel Megxit was, how Kate was uptight and Meghan hugs because it's what Americans do. Sorry, I speak to plenty of Americans all the time, and it doesn't make us stuffy and uptight British people. We hug our friends, we hug our family. Meghan's sort of hugs are like death grips, aren't they? And they're totally not giving respect to someone's personal space. It's too much. When you've got a stranger's body pushed into you, like you can feel their boobs or their chest pushed up against yours. It's a bit much, sorry. There's been stories on about the fact that Meghan, this last tour of England that she's had, has made her sure that she's made the best decision. Her and Harry have made the best decision, blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to go on about that in a next video because it's kind of like, oh, well, that was supposed to be their final engagement. Turns out it's not. And just go. Everyone's had enough now. Just go. But no, of course not. There's lots more of secret meetings, which I'll go over in my next video. I'll be back with you tomorrow with a video. Why won't they just go? Go. Anyway, that's it for now. I'll speak to you tomorrow. Bye.
If you like my video, please remember to like and subscribe. Please, angry typists, you will be blocked, so save your fingers the time. If you would like to buy me a coffee, please go to my About page and click the link. Love, Taz.